Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of WordPress Heroes. In this part two of a tutorial series, we'll be talking about setting up the user accounts as well as some of the essential plugins that you must have to ensure that your WordPress website is secured, robust from attacks, and they're ready to go. So the first thing about user profiles, if you go down here, you click on users and you have the list of users installed on your WordPress install. You also have the ability to click on add user. Again, you can set up the username, email, first name, last name, all those additional information, and you can set a password for this new user. It's pretty standard, so I'm going through this fairly quickly. Down below, you have this concept of roles. Administrator is the most powerful one. I would recommend trying to stay away from that one because that one gives you very large powers to edit and modify many different things. You also have editor, author, contributor as well. Those have lesser permissions as you go up. So as you can imagine, subscriber has the least amount of powers to modify or make changes to the site. So editor would probably be the closest one to work with. Admin is a little too powerful. So hopping over to plugins. So plugins is a hot topic, and I might have a follow-up video to cover anything I've potentially have left out. But if you click here, if you look at in your WordPress install, down below you have plugins. You can click into plugins and see what is installed. These are the plugins that come out of the box once you've installed WordPress, and these are some of these are essential, some of them are not. So I'll go through this, I'll delete some in batches and then install some. So I'll go through the whole narrative today and talk through and explain which ones are important, which ones are not, which additional ones you should be installing. So I selected the spam detection one because there's better ones out there, which is that first one, that Acmit one. Google Analytics for WordPress, I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to delete hide Hello Dolly as well. I'm going to delete Jetpack. Actually, I'm going to leave Jetpack because it has functionality that is encompassing. It has many functionalities baked within it that would help avoid the need for installing separate plugins. OptiMonster, not needed. Um, and the additional plugins down below, I would leave HostGator plugin. I would leave because we are hosting this website with HostGator. There is some benefits. I'll take us through that in just a second of keeping that. WordPress Forms Lite is the one we like to use, and that's good for now. I'll probably come back and make some changes here. I'm just gonna do a bulk delete here to remove these plugins that I know I will not use. I will not be using. I'll either not need them at all, or I'll be replacing them with better alternatives. So it's doing its thing. I clicked on delete. It's removing those items in here. And as soon as it finishes it all, I will go ahead and take the next steps of installing the ones I need to install. All right. One of the things to call out here is you have the ability to filter your plugins with these tabs here. So you have inactive, you can see all your inactive ones, the ones that you must use, and also auto update enabled ones. The recommendation is to always have the auto update on enabled for all your plugins, because if you have an out of date plugin that's prone to security risk, someone can hack the plugin, therefore take over your site. In this section here, we want to add a new plugin. Again, you click on the add button here, you can search the WordPress plugin marketplace. So the first one I'm going to search for is really simple security. What this plugin does is it ensures that you have SSL properly configured to secure your site. So most of the times on the browsers, you'll notice nowadays there's that padlock, a green padlock in the browser next to the URL up above. But nowadays it looks like for Chrome, there's that dot and a dash and a dash and a dot up by the URL. They changed it a little bit, but that ensures that you have security around your website, so your website will not get hacked as easily. So here I just went through and set up the went through the process flow of getting this set up, and it's pretty self-explanatory, so I won't spend too much time on it. You just click through and you can just follow along what I'm doing here. Security, essential security, scans, email login, um, some firewall stuff, so on and so forth. So just go ahead and follow what I'm doing here. Um, there's additional plugins I probably don't want. All the pro stuff, that's optional. You could take a look at the pro functionality later, and I might add in a pro functionality overview in a later video. So here, the first additional notification there is telling you that you have mixed content on your website. Some of the URLs that you're using comes over the SSL URL and some do not. Therefore, it's considered mixed content. So there's a fix that you can do to get that rectified. But here, since this is a fresh WordPress install, all the SSL should be appended to your URLs by default. So overall, I think it should be pretty fine. It should be fine to proceed. There's additional steps that you want to take here, such as scanning your website. Here, number 3, you would enter in your domain name, click on scan, and then it'll perform that scan. And just to let you know if there's any issues with it. So here you can go through this. There's the results. There's some strict transport security not found in the header, so on and so forth. So these are all different things that you can take your time to go through and fix over time. But primarily the plugin, the really simple SSL plugin is the one that would help lock and secure the connection between your website, the browser uh, that your users are visiting your website from, such as your laptop, desktop, mobile devices. When it connects to your server, in this case it's HostGator, that connection is secure. So if you're creating an e-commerce site and you're taking credit cards or capturing email addresses, it's all secured and it will not leak out, and nefarious bad actors will not steal it. So back on the primary plugin page, you can just go through this checklist of things that it's notified you that it's identified as potential things that you should look into. The next one is the 301 redirect enabled. There's 2 ways of enabling the redirect. This is the PHP redirect, and there's also the htaccess redirect. It recommends the htaccess redirect path. Uh, Either way, it's fine. It's not a big deal if you don't do that. If you don't do that now, or even at all, it's not that big of a deal. But if you do the htaccess version, you do have to ensure you know how to get back in case you experience some unforeseen issues. So here, it's really nice. There's a FAQ that takes you through how to regain your website through htaccess in the event that you have some unforeseen or issues with your website after you've enabled htaccess, um, the htaccess way. So again, this is probably over too much at this point in time. You could just proceed without having to go through all of this. This is more additional robust security setup that you might not necessarily need at this point in time. In a later video, I'll go over how to fully log down and secure your website, especially if you're running e-commerce websites, collecting credit card, email addresses, so on and so forth. So at this point, I think it's fair to say it's okay to just proceed with what it has by default, which is without the htaccess redirect. In a subsequent video, I'll also talk about FTP as well, which will go over how to regain access. So I'll go over that in a separate video. The second plugin I want to install, so you click on Add Plugins again and you do a search. You have SiteKit. So earlier you've noticed that I've removed the Google Analytics default plugin, and the reason for that is because I wanted to install the SiteKit by Google proper plugin. And the reason for that is because it's built by Google. It's the option and the analytics platform that I want to use. So using their plugin makes sense. So after you install it, you click on Complete Setup. Here, you go through the process flow of setting up your Google Analytics really, really easy now. They make it way easier than what it was before. You would just sign into your Gmail account, and then you would then authenticate, approve, and allow your site to have ownership, have your account have ownership to the site, and then you'll be able to turn it on. It's as simple as going through the workflow process now, which wasn't always the case. In the past, you had to add it in one platform, the Google actual analytics platform, then come back here, set it up, drop some code in, set it up, so on and so forth. But now you'll see that if you click through this workflow, um, it's all integrated within the step now, within this step process. And as soon as you complete the next couple of steps, everything's good to go. So here you select your primary domain. So it would be the domain of your website. Set up a new property is the piece that was from done differently before, but here it's all inclusive within this process step. So they made it really streamlined. And you click on complete setup. You have to ensure that you allow permissions. You either have to sign in again, or if there's two-factor authentication, you'll get some notification on your phone or email, and you could just authenticate it. Again, it's another level of security that Google wants to ensure is in place. But the good thing is as you can see there, a new property was created, which is in that second column there, and we're good to go. So it was that simple. In a matter of 2 minutes, you were able to get Google Analytics set up with your WordPress website. And what this site kit provides is analytics on your website. Who's visiting what kind of persona is visiting your website, where are they dropping off, what are they interested in, so you can tune your content as needed. There's so much rich information. This is like the initial foundation functionality to allow you to capture all the data so you can make data-driven decisions when you build out your website. Very, very cool stuff. Very powerful. So that's Google Analytics um, Sitekit, and this is the Google Analytics for WordPress that I thought I deleted, but I'm going to go ahead and delete that as well. The Creative Mail by Newfold Digital, I'm going to remove that one as well because I like using another plugin called WP Forms. That's usually the de facto. Jetpack, Optimonster. I'm going to remove a couple more of these. I'll keep Jetpack. Optimonster needs to go. And the HostGator plugin, again, I'll think about that. I think I'm going to keep that one. Yoast SEO, not going to keep that one. Just going to go ahead and delete these for the reason why you don't want to keep, very important, you don't want to keep plugins that you don't use and that you keep deactivated on your website. If you don't need it, just go ahead and delete it, remove it completely. That'll ensure that your website is not bogged down, there's no lag time, and it's up to optimal performance. That's a big thing. Make sure that, and I'll say it again, make sure that any plugins you're not using, remove them completely from your website so it doesn't slow down your site. So I'm going to remove that one, and then Optimonster, deactivate, and then remove. Sometimes you have to deactivate before you are allowed to delete. The next one I want to install is called Updraft. Updraft is a magical plugin that allows you to back up and restore websites from previous versions that have been backed up. It also allows you to migrate your website to another hosting company or server if needed. I've also done that as well. But it's very nice. It's a very convenient and free plugin that you can utilize. So I'll take us through the setup real quick. It shouldn't take that much time. After you've installed Updraft, you have the ability to configure the time of when it will create that backup. If you click on settings, you have the ability to increase or the scheduled backups that's going to be retained. And then you also have the ability to choose where your remote storage is going to be. And so I'm going to set it up with Google Drive. I know I have a lot of room on there. If you have Dropbox or Google Cloud that you want to use, there's just so many different options. You also have an ability to choose your personal FTP location as well. But if you choose Google Drive, you can click on Sign in Google, and then you will sign in here. Allow Updraft to access your Google account or associate it. And then from there, you're able to back up the files through Updraft to your Google Drive folder. So whenever it runs, you can set that frequency as well. So for example, your you can set your Google Drive to receive the backups once every night, for example. You would be able to access it and see the files in that folder. You have the ability to select the backup from that folder and restore it completely. So I've actually done this quite a few times in the past when my websites were less secured. I would have to open up Updraft, select it, and then it would back up. And it was pretty seamless. It does take a little bit of time because it is pulling from the cloud. However, this is a completely free option that you have to back up your websites and restore them in the event that your website has gotten hacked, or if you've accidentally published a change that you wanted to revert back and it's too big to change it on the fly, so you'd rather restore it. So now that you've set it up, you are able to take a look at this additional functionality here. You click on settings, you scroll down a little bit, you have again, those different options. Here, you get to select, check off what you would like to keep in your backup or omit things that you don't want to include in your backup. And also down below, that's where I was saying the easily migrate or clone your site in minutes. Very, very seamless. Updraft is one of the most proven tools out there to seamlessly migrate websites from one server to another. So for example, if you're selling your website or if you're just handing the keys to the kingdom of your website to somebody else and you want to move them off your server, you want to move the site over to their own server, um, Updraft is by far the easiest tool out there to use. It's virtually clicks, and then you get to move the site over off your server onto someone else's server. So highly recommend this plugin. It also says at the top here, success, you have authenticated Google Drive account. So now whenever you click on backup, these files will, all the core WordPress files, all of your files that you need to run your website is going to, a backup of it will appear in your Google Drive where you've had it. So you click on backup now. It says include your database, include your files and backup. Since this is a WordPress website, 1,000% you have to include your database. Without your database, your backed up files is completely useless. The database structure uh, is like the foundation for your website. So you have data, but you have your website files such as like the content, the documents, so on and so forth. But without the database, you have no structure, you're not able to restore it. I've learned that lesson painfully in the past where very early on in my website development career, 20 plus years ago, I did not back up the website database and was at a complete loss. So I had to rebuild things from scratch. Always check the database. Always ensure the database is backed up. So here, I just clicked on backup now. The files, all my critical files are backed up. You can set the frequency, just set it to a daily frequency so that if you get hacked, um, so for example, if you get hacked today, you find out tomorrow, you can back it up to 2 days ago, for example. And um, the key with backing up and restoring, I'll have a separate video on that on how to identify if your website's been hacked and what you need to do. So go and search for that. I'll put out another video. Um, the key, the headline is if you have a backup and if you've restored a backup, if after your site has been hacked, you absolutely need to go in there and fix what the vulnerability was immediately. Otherwise, your site's going to get hacked again. So um, after your site's been hacked, you could back it up to a day prior and then do a lockdown on the site to see what was the vulnerability, and then that'll help ensure that the site does not get hacked again. Again, I will walk us through that in a separate video. All right, so back on the plugins page, if you click on install plugins, no, this OptiMonster wasn't removed. Let me go ahead and deactivate that again and delete it. I thought I did it earlier, but so that's the thing. If you have a plugin you want to remove, you should deactivate it first. Then you select it, and then hit delete and hit apply. So I thought I had removed this earlier. We'll definitely remove it now. This is the close to the final setup. There is oh, Yoast SEO was not removed either. Let me go and remove that one. It's not needed. It's a heavy plugin that'll take it reduces performance. That's one of the things is to keep your website as lean as possible and to utilize optimized web plugins that'll ensure that your website is not bogged down or slowed down and impacting your performance. So this is close to the final list of plugins um, that I typically start out with. There is one more called WordFence, and that is the one of the most critical plugins that are needed. And that, let's go and click on Add Plugin. WordFence is is what it sounds like. It's defense for your WordPress website. Um, it's been trusted by 5+ million users out there. So one click, you get to install and have access to this functionality. WordFence is very unique. It's very robust. So after you've downloaded, you could activate it, and now you go through the setup process. As you notice through WordPress, there's a lot of very nice guided walkthroughs that'll take you through all this. So WordFence, you can just proceed with the free version. The difference is if you have a paid version, you can get notified right away with the latest threats. With the free version, you have to wait 30 days. So far, I was able to leverage and utilize the free version, and I have not run into any issues, to be honest. So no issues with the free version. You'll be able to get by, no problem with that. And so here, let me go and try to proceed. I'll say I'm okay with waiting 30 days. At this point, you would have received an email with some code. You would have dropped the code into this location after signing into WordFence. I'm not going to go through that because it has some critical security issues if I had shared that. It's the secret code for WordFence to get set up, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a single step. After you do that, you would be taken here. Just ensure that you are enabling auto update for WordFence, the WordFence plugin. And if you click on the set up the firewall, this is what we're going to do next. Make sure your site is secured as much as possible by setting up a firewall. So another thing that it's telling you about is if you have different WordPress installations within the same subdirectory, you just have to go through a special setup process. Before clicking on continue, download the htaccess file. I'll go through it in another video. If you lose access, you can still regain access and restore your website. So with that said, you've enabled the firewall. After enabling it, it's actually in defaulted to learning mode. So give it about 30 days for it to learn how your website's performing and how it's potentially um, integrated or working with on the World Wide Web. After 30 days, you can turn it on and enable it so that it's actually going to lock down and secure your website. So that's the recommendation there. Down below, you have the ability to customize a lot of the stuff. You can just proceed and just skim over. It's allowing additional access configuration to different things. Brute force protection, keep it on. That is, if somebody's trying to hack your website and they're plugging in different passwords, brute force is trying repetitively to enter in multiple different combinations. This is to ensure that it doesn't happen by locking the user out, locking that user at that IP address out after trying, in this case, 5 times, lockout after failed password attempts 5 times, so on and so forth. All this other stuff is pretty standard. You can just leave it checked off as the recommended functionality to be turned on. And just coming on down, checking password strength, so on and so forth. So this all looks good. Go and click on Save Changes and you'll be good to go. Brute force protection is at 100%. The firewall is at 70. That's because it's still learning, and you just give it some time. Also, you don't necessarily need to be at 100% for all of the different metrics up there. It's just something to aim towards. Again, down here, this is the nitty-gritty items that you don't need to enable or disable. You can just kind of look through it, see what's available, but you don't have to make any modifications to really know. You could just trust in the WordFence and their default setup. So you should be good to go. Again, if you have interest, you could look at their premium model and see what the paid subscription will allow you to have. If you click on blocking, yeah, this gives you some information around country blocking. If you wanted to block users from like, accessing your website for some reason, whether it be for a certain country, so on and so forth. Log on to WordFence. This one is unique, and I highly, highly recommend this one. So what you would do is you would have authenticate, two-factor authentication. You would utilize an app such as the Google Authenticator on your phone. And what you do is you open up Google Authenticator app on your phone, which is what I'm doing now. You scan the QR code, and that adds the WordFre the WordFence plugin login connection through. It associates it with your Google Authenticator app. So the objective is when you come to log into your website's WordPress login, when you try to access this control panel in the future, it would ask you for an authenticated code. And then you would click enter if the code's correct. Then you can access the backend, the WordPress backend. If it's not correct, then you'll be logged out. You have a couple chances to try it again. And ultimately, folks who do not have access to your mobile device, the objective is to lock them out to ensure that they don't have access to your site. All right, and back to plugins. The very last plugin I wanted to share with you that should be installed is Elementor. After you do a search, you install it, you activate it. Elementor is a website builder. It makes building websites super easy. It has some predefined templates, these blocks, the concept of blocks, predefined widgets, so on and so forth. It makes life a lot easier when you're building websites. Um, I'll have a dedicated video walkthrough of Elementor later on, so do search for that. But we'll just go ahead and install it and include it here in the essentials plugins for WordPress. After you have that installed, you should be good to go, and that should be it for all of the plugins. All right, we'll see you on the next one.